Hello, my dear friends. I think we should make a short discussion about the financial crimes of the two by twos. I did talk about it in the two by two business model podcast, but I think we can make one specifically about the financial crimes. Okay, so just to step back to what the things we were talking about in the past, and that is that the two by twos, they're not a uh, legal entity. There's no formal organization, right? So if you give money to the two by twos, it's not possible to give it to the two by two organization or to the two by two kingdom because there is no such thing. It has to actually go to an individual person. Now you think like, oh, I give it to my local two by two minister, give them $1,000 cash or whatever, but they actually take that money and they give it on words to their overseer. Now the overseer, what does he do with it? He can't put it in a bank account. So he gives it to a two by two royalty. And this royalty person takes the money and puts it in his own name. Okay, let's say the two by two royalty is John Smith and he lives in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And so he has a bank account that he puts it in. That bank account is in his own name. Okay. Or he takes the money and he puts it into his own business and he uses it to buy real estate or whatever else. It's actually money laundering because his money has not been declared. Now, you may say, and I heard many, many people say this, they don't see the problem with any of this because it's all just gift money, i.e., the person who gave the initial money to the minister was a gift. Okay, well, here's the issue. A gift, as defined by the tax authorities, is something for which there was no quid pro quo, meaning like, if I give $10 to a homeless person, that's a gift. But if I give $10 to a church pastor, that's not a gift because the church pastor is giving me something in return, which is ministering. He's ministering to me, right? It's a service. And these two by two ministers, they are providing a service. And that service is being compensated by people giving them money. Now, there's obviously no price tag set. Like I give you an hour of service and you have to pay me $100. There's no formal price tags, and there's no formal price tags in really any church like that, is there? But it is a fact that it is a quid pro quo, and therefore it is not a gift. Okay, and by the way, that's why normal churches, give tax receipts to anybody who gives the church a donation. It's called donation, right? Or a gift. In the sense that there's a tax receipt. Why? To show that there was a quid pro quo happened, and it's going to a non-profit entity, right? If there's a quid pro quo with a profit entity, they don't give you tax receipts, tax exemption receipts, right? So here's the issue: the two by twos are involved in a quid pro quo operation between the member and the minister. There's money transferring hands from the member to the minister, and there's no uh, disclosure of this to the tax authority. That's the tax fraud. Okay. The money laundering aspect is when this money is transferred to this two by two royalty. Okay. And that person is putting it in their own accounts or they are putting it in their own businesses. That's the money laundering aspect. Now, there's also Medicaid fraud in the United States, where most of the two by two ministers are on Medicaid, which is free health care for poor people. Okay, you just show that you don't have any income, and a bunch of other things, and you can get the free health care. Okay, free. I think actually dental also. Um, Now this is obviously for our most poorest people in society, but these two by two ministers, yeah, ostensibly they're poor because they have no assets and everything, but they are employees. They're employed, okay, of an organization. And just so happens that the payment they're receiving when members give them money, they're not keeping it for themselves to pay for their own expenses. They're giving it up to their overseer, right? So basically, the commission that they take on the money transfer is negligible, okay? Because the overseer insists that this is a part of the system. So these two by two ministers are effectively lying to the Medicare authorities that they're poor. Okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say I have a job and I'm making $100,000 a year, and I give all the money to my local church. I don't keep anything for myself. And then I go to apply. I say, well, I'm poor. Well, obviously, I can't even afford a house. I have nothing. I'm living in the streets, obviously, right? Because I'm not keeping any money. I go to Medicare and I say, Medicaid rather, and I say, look, I need this free Medicaid because I'm poor. They'll laugh at me and say, that's not possible. That's a crazy idea. So you can't do that. Okay, so the 2x2s are lying. That's Medicaid fraud. It's a very serious offense, felony offense. Okay. Then there's also the issue of immigration fraud, right? Where they are lying to get visas to go to other countries to be missionaries. And they're saying on their visas that they are language students. And they go there, they're not language students, they're proselytizing. Okay. And they're trying to solicit new membership and money. Again, that's illegal. Okay. They've committed, obviously, that's all crimes against every country that they committed immigration fraud. Right. So if you have, and by the way, it's not just American 2x2 ministers going to Cambodia. No, they're going across the border between Canada and the United States, between the UK and the United States, between Mexico and the United States. These are so man, I'm saying that there's like Mexican 2x2 ministers coming into the United States on a language visa, and so forth. I mean, it is immigration fraud. There's a lot of them, and the thing is, it's not just being done by the 2x2 minister who's applying for the visa. It's being coordinated by the overseers above them and by 2x2 royalty. So there's like a conspiracy to commit immigration fraud. Now, and back to the case of the Medicaid issue. But by the way, they also do Medicare fraud, right? That's free healthcare for old people who have worked 10 years in their life in the United States. So they're putting people on the fake payrolls of some of the 2x2 businesses to get them to accumulate the 10 years worth of credits, and then they get them into Medicare rather, when they're over 65. And then they build assisted living facilities, 2x2 royalty members do, assisted living facilities, and they have these 2x2 ministers who are quite old living in there, and they're getting, doctors and nurses and everything's all paid for, food's all paid for, everything's paid for, because they have basically free government's paying for it, and the money's going straight to the 2x2 royalty, right? That's fraud. It's fraud, and there's conspiracy to do that. So now, where's all the money's held? Like I said, it's held mostly by 2x2 royalty, and it's held in personal accounts. There's no such thing as a trust account. Okay, I mean, you could say it's a fake trust account held, but in the legal sense of the word, it's just not a trust account. It's just held by another person. Now, here's the other aspect of this that's illegal, is that they have old people, old members who want to give their estates, or a large part of their estates, to the kingdom. Okay, so in a normal church situation, you could donate, all your estate to whatever, the Anglican Church or something like this, and you'd get a tax receipt and everything. And there's an Anglican Church incorporated that receives it, blah blah blah. It's all totally above board. And in 2x2s, there's no 2x2 incorporated to give your estate to. So this old person who wants to give their money to the kingdom inevitably has to sign over their estate to another 2x2 individual member, and that's who the estate goes to. Okay, so this person thinks they're giving the money to the kingdom, when actually it's going to another person, right? That's coercion and effectively fraud, right? And so there's a lot of people, or thousands, tens of thousands of people, who've been swindled out of their estates because they think it's going to the 2x2 kingdom, when in fact it's going to another 2x2 member. Sometimes a member they don't even know, and that person's using it there for their own businesses. Again, this is how horrid it is. So those are the types of financial crimes. There's also the issue of the undeclared income, right? What's called, not just the money that the ministers are taking from the members, but also the non-monetary income, right? So the fact that they're staying in the homes of these members every night, that's free accommodations. They're driving cars of these members. It's not like they just borrow the car for the day. No, they're given a car for a whole year. That's a compensation. If you work for a company Like you get a company car, that's part of compensation that goes on your taxes. Okay, so this is also going on. There's all of this undeclared non-monetary income, and it's substantial. It's not disclosed at all. So those are the financial issues, and if anybody has any information about those things or seen anything like that, or you should report that to the FBI.